Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Books, Gurrs, and Purrs. My name is Leslie and that's Tariel right behind me. So today I'm going to be reviewing A Genderqueer by Maya Kobabe. I have notes because I guess I feel like this is a sensitive topic and I don't want to mess up this memoir. So Kobabe is the author and illustrator of this memoir that's very much an evolution of their non-binary and asexual identity, as well as them dealing with autoandrophilia. There's a lot of different talking points the author makes in their memoir, but I appreciate that the author is really doing just that, um, giving talking points, bringing up issues, but makes it pretty clear throughout the book that they don't have all the answers. For instance, something that the author struggles with from the very beginning is their gender presentation, and as well as their, not just their physical being, but their clothes. And that bumps against what society pressures people into molding themselves into. An example the author provides is when the author goes to get a haircut and doesn't really like the job that the hairdresser is doing. Air eventually goes to Air sister and has her cut Air hair because ultimately Air's sister knows them well enough to know what they want from a haircut. The author feels the most themselves. There's self-examination throughout the book, but ultimately I felt like the author knew who they were on a cellular level. It's mostly just society around them gaslighting them and telling them that they don't know who they are in a way. This issue is compounded with the fact that sex education is not inclusive. So when the author struggles to really figure out their sexuality, it seems like they're very stuck because in sex education there's just not those kind of resources, or those conversations aren't really had. With all the pressures of what society expects from the author and the lack of sex education creating inclusive material, the author turns to their love of literature, and I think that's probably my favorite part of the book. It was just very sweet to see how the author embraced other characters or other real life pop figure in their life that made them feel more themselves. The author also brings up how in the medical community, in medical institutions, there's not quite a sensitivity to complex issues the author faces, and so this creates a lot of painful experiences for the author. And this is another part of the book that I felt I really appreciated the author bringing up, because it's an issue I just wouldn't be aware of, but also there don't seem to be any easy answers to resolution. So in the graphic memoir, there are two sections, one page after the other, that really stuck out to me, and that was page 190 and 191. The author eventually comes around to the idea of pronouns as they learn about how Air could pick out their own pronouns. And I think the issue is with the author asking people to use the pronouns. The author is just coming from a place of feeling like Maya doesn't want to inconvenience other people. And so in the book, the author is talking to her friend, and her friend said, "So instead of asking people to do something to make you feel more comfortable, you'd rather just feel a little uncomfortable all the time? You'd rather internalize and carry that discomfort every time someone who loves you misgenders you." And I really love the way that the author's friend put it that way. In 191, the author creates a metaphor that I thought was really beautiful. And I would equate it to, if you ever watched the show Schitt's Creek, there's a character, David, that explains his sexuality by saying that he dislikes the wine, not the label. And I always thought that was such a great metaphor, but this one is just as good, talking about being non-binary. And so it says, "As I ponder a pronoun change, I began to think of genderless as a scale and more as a landscape. Some people are born in the mountains, while others are born by the sea. Some people are happy to live in the place they were born, while others must make a journey to reach the climate in which they can flourish and grow. Between the ocean and the mountains is a wild forest. That is where I want to make my home." And I just thought that was absolutely beautiful. I don't know if you could see that. I don't know. I think that was my favorite section out of the whole book. I just thought it encapsulates how the author feels, how the author wants to be represented, all the while giving someone like me that really doesn't have a lot of understanding. I have plenty of empathy. I just don't always understand certain subjects, and I just felt like this was a really beautiful guide in a way, and I really enjoyed it. All right, everyone, that's the end of my review for Genderqueer. I hope you pick up a copy. I hope one day this book is no longer part of being a banned book. I thought all the information in here was incredibly enlightening. It is graphic in nature, but I felt like all the different graphic moments in this illustrated graphic novel were really warranted for the author to get their points across. So I really feel like the graphic novel format was the best for the author telling this particular story. All right, everyone. Well, that's all I have for today. I'll see you later.